Raghav joins us from Bengaluru. Anand Thegde, very controversial, but there are many in the BJP who see him as a bit of a Yogi Adityanath character. They would like him in a post-Yedurappa dispensation to be the new face of the BJP. Some would think he's radical and extreme, but you know that would have been said about Yogi before he became Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh as well. Your sense of whether this is the next generation of the BJP leadership in Karnataka?
Well, I think, yeah, he is one of those leaders. You know, Uttar Kannada is the kind of seat where you have, you were just discussing about how Amit Shah has turned, built the BJP across India. I think one part of the BJP today is about the Modi effect, but the other part of the BJP is an ideological base areas where they consistently want to build their ideological base. And Uttar Kannada is a seat where they built their ideological base largely because of leaders like Anant Kumar Hegde. Well, to project him as a state level leader, as an entire state leader, he doesn't seem to have the appeal beyond an Uttar Kannada. But that's a seat which he's held so strongly that in fact the Congress finds it so difficult to even find a candidate who can challenge these kind of BJP candidates. So yes, when you say generation next, I think they need to get a broad section of appeal. These are people who can possibly be the BJP's ideological poster boys, Hindutva poster boys when they have the numbers. But Yedurappa is someone who brings the caste arithmetic with him when he comes into the BJP. So I think it's a little early to predict how this is going to be. But yes, these are people that are being projected by the BJP. But Rahul, just to quickly point out, it's not just seats like Uttar Kannada that are going to polls today. I think the real battle and the test of the JDS-Congress alliance will be in Hyderabad-Karnataka, in seats like Bidar, which Dharam Singh lost in 2014, former Chief Minister lost in 2014. Seats like Koppal, these are places where I think the JDS-Congress arithmetic will be put to test in the Hyderabad-Karnataka section. So in about 14 seats, I'd say about 6 or 7 seats, the fight's going to be close.
That's correct. But the core area of strength of the Janata Dal Secular Congress Alliance is in old Mysore. In the southern part of this state, this is North Karnataka, more the Lingayat belt where the BJP is formidable. But the moment the JDS and the Congress are aligned, if that arithmetic transfers into votes, then there is a problem that the BJP has to face. Mahesh Rangarajan, you were disagreeing?
No, Hyderabad-Karnataka is very important for Congress, JDS, and particularly for Congress because it is the most depressed and backward part of Karnataka. The number of poor people is more. There is historically very little industry. So, schemes like NYAY and ideas of loan waiver for farmers, jobs for the jobless, if they are working at all, this is going to be one of the test sites. No, I think
I was in Chhindwara and Sioni in Balaghat, Madhya Pradesh last weekend, and I found over there that while NYAY is an appealing idea to those who know about it, Mir Sharma, the problem seems to be there isn't enough awareness. The Congress announced this, but it hasn't been able to take it deep into rural, tribal areas where people really know. The idea of 70,000 rupees in your bank account is a fabulous idea if you know about it.
Well, I think that maybe it came a little late in the day. This is the kind of idea that should have had a 6-month ramp up. Well, that said, in Chhattisgarh, for example, the promise of a loan waiver, right, was not made early enough in the campaign, many people thought, but eventually the word did get out. All right, so I wouldn't be news of free money comes
quickly. High anti-incumbency against the 3-term government.
But also news, everyone eventually heard about the loan waiver. So I think that, news of money, of free money, spreads a lot quicker than news of many other things. And so I wouldn't underestimate the degree to which it will come out. But ideally, for the Congress to have got this done, they should have announced it in around January and given us the details maybe when
But I
they
don't fully agree. While the idea of free money is a very appealing idea, the fact is, after having spoken to lots of voters, we discovered that they simply hadn't heard about it. And, to say that it goes through, but when you're in tribal areas, rural areas, it's that much tougher. And the Congress also, Javed, has spent a lot of time on Rafale. They've spent a lot of time on Chaukidar Chor Hai, whereas it's NYAY that is the one idea that is most appealing. The BJP says if we had come up with NYAY, we'd be winning 300 plus. They say that privately, that if this was our idea, we'd be sweeping this election. That the BJP's ability to amplify a message is way beyond that of the Congress.
Yes, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Communication is not the Congress party's strength. And I'd agree with Mayor that in my
At
view...
this time, what do you think is? At this time, what is the Congress's strength?
The Congress's strength is NYAY. They would be hoping, if there is one thing that can...
No, but if NYAY is your strength and you aren't able to communicate that, then that isn't much of a strength.
Yeah, because I do believe that they delayed it too long, and they spent a lot of their time and energy on Rafale. Rafale is a good talking point, but it doesn't, concern the average Aam Aadmi.
Nobody in rural India, in the areas that we've been traveling to and speaking to people, have even heard of Rafale or care very much about it. Free money they care about, and that the Congress Aishwarya Mahadev isn't speaking enough about.
I think that the idea was spoken about a long time ago. Like when you say even in Chhattisgarh, whether it was loan waiver that came late or not, there were times when people were campaigning and at the mandis, people were refusing to sell any of their stocks, saying, no, when the Congress Sarkar comes, we'll get a better price, a better remunerative price. And the message has trickled down. I was in the old Mysore region, where we're facing probably the toughest battle, irrespective of a coalition or not. And what you see that in every village, when you say
Is that because the JDS isn't fully on board? Because if they are in Old Mysore, there isn't really much of a contest.
No, at the end of it, even the Old Mysore region, and I'll come back to the Karnataka idea, is that, the grassroots, the sort of machinery that you have employed in Coorg, the sort of communal messaging that has finally hit even the Old Mysore region, is something that a secular party and the coalition here is also finding it very difficult to fight. But the bigger part about NYAY, and then I'll get back to Karnataka, Rahul, the simple fact is the message has gone down to the ground. Maybe in certain places it hasn't, but the other promise that seems to be working is that these Congress governments in states seem to have delivered. If we've promised you something, that we will give it to you, and in those 3 states when you had these loan waivers coming in, it was positive reinforcement. But last point about Karnataka...
But even on loan waivers, let me give you Madhya Pradesh's example. Only 40% of the farmers, even by the government's own claims, have got loan waivers. So the vast majority haven't, and Shivraj Singh Chauhan is saying constantly in rallies, aapko mila loan waiver, aap batao kitno ko mila. He's asking people to put their hands up, and very few hands go up.
At the end of it, it's a long-run process. Karnataka has a 60,000 crore that we promised to waive out.
But the Congress promised that you'd give it within days of coming to power.
It was instituted within days, Rahul. But besides that, the larger point about my state and Karnataka, and I'd really like to put this out there, is that the BJP, and this ties up to Amit Shah making inroads into places in India, what they're doing is that they're playing on a very dangerous plank or an agenda. If you look at the coast, look at the seats that are going now, right? If you look at Uttar Kannada, Anant Kumar Hegde is probably the most vitriolic man you will find, and that message has resonated so much so that you're fanning communal flames across that belt. You've seen that also trickle down to Coorg, Sakleshpur, and an entire old Mysore belt. So what they're doing is they're playing on planks. In the northeast, they will not talk about beef. They will come down here, they'll talk about the Bajrang Dal and Tippu Jayanti and Hanuma Jayanti. So they are playing on a very dangerous divisive agenda, and that is something that, we will concede is difficult to fight back because you're playing on the base primal instinct of people. But a large part of Karnataka
but you can't say it's difficult to fight back. You're in opposition. It's your business to fight back.
No, we're doing it. But what we're seeing is not only brute force, but this extremely, this idea of Hindu victimhood being mounted everywhere. You're working at a base level where you're not only pumping them
Let
up
Nupur
with money,
Sharma respond to that. The Congress alleging the BJP is reaching out to the base instincts, communalizing this election in a bid to win. You've forgotten about Achhe Din, you're not speaking about demonetization, you're speaking instead about communal polarization. Respond to Aishwarya.
Well, actually, I think I object to the loose use of the phrase brute force. I don't know where brute force was used in these elections, but having said that, I think let's also not forget how the Congress tried to bring about the Lingayat reservation issue and how there was an attempt to divide Hindu amongst themselves. Also not forget how leaders of the Congress party like Siddhus of the world are going about town and talking about all Muslims vote for the Congress party, and even Kamal Nath on a video, all 90% Muslim votes should go to the Congress party. So perhaps she means brute force by that. But I think what is also very important to note within Karnataka is how repeatedly the Chief Minister Kumaraswamy has been crying. And he's gone on record to complain that I am being forced to do things that I am not. Allow me to please complete. Allow me to complete. how Kumaraswamy has gone on record to complain and while crying that I am being forced to do things by the Congress party just for the dharma of coalition, which I would otherwise not do. I am being arm twisted to do things. Is that a very democratic way of running a state? I think the jury is out on that. And I think what perhaps the Congress today should have done is perhaps ensured that the Congress cadre and the JDS cadre comes together and works together, which is obviously not happening. So if BJP is perhaps effective in getting its message and its poll plank across to the people, then I'm sorry, I mean, these are elections. And